He died for you, man. What more could someone do for you? When I realize that someone died for me, everything changes in here. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. My fear of cancer, heart failure, whatever, had better not be bigger than my fear, my awe of God. Of course God and I are going to have disagreements. He's God and I'm Cliffe. When I realize that someone died for me, everything changes in here. Now, I still have bad habits, but no. My desire, as your desire is to obey him, to honor him. He died for you, man. What more could someone do for you? And when you trust in him, then you begin to want to obey him as Lord. But that's a lifelong process. And if I die in road rage, I'm not going to hell because I died committing a sin and getting road rage. No, because my going to heaven is not because I'm good enough. My going to heaven is because Christ is good enough. He did it on the cross for me. My faith is in him. And if I die losing it on the road with road rage, that's wrong, but I am still going to heaven because of what Christ did for me and my faith is in him. Does that make sense?
Okay, so there's a gentleman like you, like preaching and you're chasing God when the doors are closed and the doors are open. And then you have a man like me that's on a podcast speaking about Christ and old enough to know better, young enough to be stupid. And I fail a lot. Then we have another man who doesn't even talk about God, doesn't preach about God, but let's just say this man loves God just as much as we do. Mm-hmm. But he gets drunk every night. Mm-hmm. And maybe his parents did something to him or whatever, but he runs away, he escapes through alcohol or weed or drugs or any type of these type of situations. And his beginnings were a lot different. He loves God with all his heart, but he doesn't read his Bible. He doesn't go out and preach. He gets messed up every day, but he feels bad about it. He's not happy about it.
Yep.
How does that man get to heaven? Shouldn't we look at him and be like, bro, you shouldn't be there if you love God. If you loved God, you'd be able to get out of that situation by using his word, by using the discipline. And when I would read comments of people like, why is he swearing? And then I cut swearing. And then I realized I just did an episode with John Bellion and I dropped the F-bomb so many times. I'm looking back at it. I'm like, bro, what's wrong with you? There's so many things that I want to control, but I can't control because of habits. But then I look at it okay, that's just swearing. But what about the man who's addicted to drugs and he's destroying his temple? And where is the fine line between you're going to heaven and you're not going to heaven?
We don't know.
That's the whole Romans 7 piece, where if it's the top rabbi this world has ever seen, Paul, he was the head of the church with Peter. If he says the things I want to do, I don't, and the things I don't want to do, I do, that's got to give us some kind of pass, right? He's the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One passage, George, that you may really like, I was teaching it to a group of men right out here, and it was Matthew 7, and at one point it says, unless your righteousness outdoes that of the Pharisees, you will not go to heaven. Two guys literally stood up and walked out the door.
Could you repeat that?
Unless your righteousness outdoes that of the Pharisees, you will not be saved. Pharisees were known to tithe a lot of money.
Yeah.
The Pharisees were known to keep the letter of the law better than anybody else. So they were known to be the purest form of people. So you would say, no porn, no alcohol, they're going to heaven, of course.
Yeah.
But then on the inside of the cup, Jesus says, your father's the devil. He says that. One time I said that to my brother. I don't know why my dad was kind of offended by that. Weak joke right there. That was a dad joke, all right?
I was like, did you say that?
I heard what you said. I just was like, what did your bro do?
So anyway, these guys stand up, literally walk out. I'm like, guys, that's a little much. Can we just finish this meeting together? And they said, no, that's absurd. Our righteousness is not going to outdo that of the Pharisees. The Pharisees were known. They didn't even know their Bibles, but they knew the Pharisees, that they were the top dogs ethically. And I kind of chased them and I said, hold on here. You got to read the next verses, because that's always what people make the mistake of. They see one verse, never read a Bible verse. That's one of my favorite sayings. Never read a Bible verse, because you have to read multiple and in context, or you're going to get screwed up.
You have any idea how dangerous that is? People will be like, I could do all things that Christ who strengthens me, so I'm going to just go and kill it in the Bitcoin industry. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? That has nothing to do with what he's talking about. So it's very, very dangerous to read one thing and then just run with it, which by the way, we want to do that, right? We want that fortune cookie, we're good. Here's
right.
Okay, so please continue.
So the verses later, a couple verses down, it says, but thanks be to God because he saves us. And so Jesus Christ is the one who saves us if you just go a few verses down. And they didn't let me get there. They just said, screw you, buddy. I'm not going to be able to be good enough. But the whole piece is when Peterson says something like, it's terrifying to be a Christian because I would have to live a perfect life in order to get to heaven, and I can't do that consistently. And he'll start crying, but he'll be crying for the wrong reasons. Bro, you don't have to live a perfect life. And he stops there, and I'll say, look at the evidence of the resurrection, because you only become a Christian through the evidence of the resurrection, because that's the linchpin. And he says, no, I can't go there. And I've been told by somebody who's in the industry that he doesn't go there. I feel bad saying this, but because if he truly goes one way, then he's going to lose some of his audience. But irregardless,
are you talking about Jordan?
Jordan Peterson, yeah. One last passage, Matthew 7 passage, where clearly you just come down some, and it's through Jesus Christ. Well, the whole Protestant Reformation was based out of grace, and some of our Catholic friends struggle with that. Others love it, but it's out of Romans 1:18, where you have Martin Luther and the theses that he posted on the door. He came to know Christ through understanding it's not by my own righteousness, but by Christ that I'm saved, Romans 1:18 says. And so all of a sudden, he's just, talk about tears, talk about a total breakdown, where he all of a sudden understands the cross, and by doing so, he says, I'm going to risk my life. I might be killed for this, because every powerful religious industry is saying, no, it's by your own works, and it's by the Pope, for example. Yeah. But he's going to risk it all because he understands grace, and he's not saved through works.
What about the verse where it says works without, what is it? Works without
faith without works is dead.
Faith without works is dead. What does that mean?
The book of James has been misunderstood by a lot of people. Many people say, see, James is saying you go to heaven by your works. It's not what he's saying. James is saying, here's sincere faith, which is shown by works, versus insincere faith, which has no works to back it up. It's that simple. So James is not saying you go to heaven by your works. No, he understands faith, but it's better be a faith that works.
Because you have so much faith and love that you want to work and you want to show your love?
And the way John puts it in 1 John is, if I say I love God and hate you, I'm a liar. If I say I love God and I hate you, I'm a liar. That's a contradiction. Now, might I lose my temper with you? Might I say I hate you? Yes, but I better apologize and say, gosh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Are you speaking of John 4:20, where he says you cannot hate your brother and say you love God?
Very good. 1 John 4:20. Not the Gospel of John. There we go.
That was good.
Yeah, very good. That's exactly right.
How do you feel about babies being baptized, which you kind of said in the beginning, you feel like you should wait until the, and then now how do you feel when you're doing it, knowing that they should wait?
Fortunately, I'm not doing it tomorrow. I'm dedicating.
What does that mean?
Dedicating basically just means speaking scripture over the child and then speaking to the parents and any other children they have that they are going to support this child and grow them up in the faith. And then I turn to the congregation and say, are you going to do the same? So it's all about dedication and back to a covenant to really help this.
So it's not a baptism?
Not a baptism. I wouldn't do a baptism.
You guys don't baptize
We
babies?
don't baptize, no. You said you're going to sprinkle a baby in too long from now.
People coming out of your background, when I explained to them, we're not going to baptize, we're going to dedicate. Just last Sunday, a gentleman said to me, well, could there be some water involved? That's just because of the strong tradition. And I said, well, sure, I can sprinkle a little water on your baby's forehead. But you've got to understand, this is not a baptism. This is a dedication of you to raise this child so that this child sees and hears about Jesus from you. It's a dedication of us as a community of faith to support you in this. And yes, we're going to pray over the child. That's what it is.
The things we see when we're doing premarital counseling, I was counseling this couple where they were talking about how the man kept checking out other women, and he was an atheist, so we debated even within premarital counseling, which I loved, but literally she would say that he would crane his neck.
Oh, that's disrespectful.
Totally. And he was trying to rationalize it and say, no, you're able to, I give you time with the dog. I'm the one who goes and works, so I should be allowed to check out other women.
That is a weird. That's how you know you have no excuses. Babe, you have a dog.
Exactly.
Did I not get you a puppy? Well, actually, I talked about this with Bella, to be vulnerable. I told her this. I go, listen, if I look at a girl that's pretty, it's a little secret I want to tell you. When we started dating, I'm not gay. So, if a beautiful girl walks by, I'm going to be like, wow, that girl's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, and if a beautiful man walks by, I'm going to be like, wow, that guy's a very handsome man. Okay, there's a difference from me being like, babe, look at that girl. She's very beautiful. I bet she's a model. Versus ooh, shorty.
Yeah. Big difference.
There's such a difference. Like some guys, the way that I see them just snap their necks and stare, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I would feel so disrespected if I was your girlfriend. Yeah.
Right.
But there's a way, of course, of appreciating beauty. Or if you see somebody walk in and they're beautiful, of course you're going to be like, oh, wow, like they're beautiful. God made them and they're beautiful.
Exactly.
You're going to notice that.
And I told Belle, Belle, there's so many beautiful women out in the world that I'm going to lay my eyes on. But isn't it more honorable that I could see that there's more beautiful women out there and I want nothing to do with them? Mm-hmm. There's a difference. There's looking with lust and there's looking with oh, wow.
But so how did you handle that situation with that couple? What did you tell them? How did you counsel them?
I just counseled him. It's just saying that, hey, look, if you're not dedicating your eyes to her like George was saying, looking at other women, but bouncing your eyes. I think that bouncing your eyes is so crucial rather than craning your neck and understanding, hey, she has insecurity when you do that. I don't care how confident the woman is. If her husband or boyfriend is always checking other chicks out, that's going to cause insecurity in her life.
Yeah.
And so trying to communicate that to him, he started to get it, but it was so stinking habitual that he couldn't break out of it. It was literally addiction. So it led to divorce.
It's not his fault. It's his surroundings, right? So the father, he always pushes him, hey, go have some fun. Go blah, 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 blah. It's like they start these kids on crack. And then they expect them to, as soon as you find somebody, cut the drugs out. So yes, he loves his wife, and yes, I love Belle, but you can't run away from your issues. The only problem between me and him is he wasn't looking to fix the solution. He was living in his sin and saying, oh no, this is not a problem. I knew it's wrong. I wouldn't want my girl consistently trying to look for a hot guy. That's disrespectful. Yeah. But if a guy comes around in her workplace and she's a good looking guy, and her friend's like, wow, look at that guy. He's a tall, good looking guy. I would have no problem with it. They're like, oh yeah, he's very beautiful. Are you trying to go talk to him? Let's go talk to him. And if you're worried about what your significant other's doing all the time, it's going to take away from your life. I don't play that game. Yeah.
The jealous boyfriend type is so insecure and has created an idol out of the significant other. And until that idol turns into God filling my God-shaped hole, that jealousy is going to be there no matter what. Right. And it's one of those cringy things to see, right? And you're never going to have a healthy relationship if that happens.
I would love to know, what is a chapter in the Bible that you find yourself going back to often?
The Lord's Prayer. Our Father who's in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's a very challenging prayer. In other words, I'm convinced that real faith, the biggest challenge for many of us is the will. Submitting my will, your kingdom, your will be done, not mine. And so I have to pray that regularly. And that's right out of Matthew chapter 6, the Lord's Prayer. Then I go to Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you. In other words, give his attention to you and give you peace. And I long for that peace. And then I love Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. I need to be restored. I love the Beatitudes, which start the Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So if anybody says to you, a Christian is someone who lives according to the Sermon on the Mount, the first Beatitude says you can't live up to this standard. You've got to be poor in spirit, which means to acknowledge my poverty of spirit, that I need God's grace, I need Christ.
Amen.
So those are some of the passages. I love 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking. And 1 Corinthians 15, the resurrection chapter, is a great chapter on the resurrection body, on the resurrection of Christ, because that's the basis of hope for the future. So those are some of the verses that have meant a lot to me.
Do you find yourself that you go back to those a lot to find peace and comfort?
Yes, peace and comfort. Also, how am I going to handle this situation? Recently, I was reading in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, you've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate the Democrat. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate the Republican. But I say to you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. Now, that's the most difficult thing for me to do, because I naturally hate my enemy. I don't love my enemy. And yet to watch in our culture how Democrats and Republicans, very nice people, have started hating each other, that is tragic. To divide, and be cool by ripping someone to shreds, that's not cool. That's degrading a human being created in the image of God.
When you point somebody else's flaws out so willingly, it's like, to me, I get so uncomfortable. Even when other people do it, I get so uncomfortable because I'm like, whoa, I don't even want to be around the facility. I feel like they're doing witchcraft, and I'm like, I don't want that voodoo to come over here. When you look at somebody and you're judging, I just go, I know I'm going to be standing in the most vulnerable, naked, in front of my God, and he's going to point out even the sins that I've forgotten about. And I'm over here like, dude, you need to chill out with this, and that. And it's just like, shut up, But I want to circle back to the first Bible verse you said, where it was the prayer, our Father, thou be in heaven.
Who is in heaven.
Who is in heaven. Me and my mom, I was having a little debate with my mom. My mom goes, you gotta, she says that in Assyrian. So it's like, it's a very, it's from the language that Christ spoke too. But I had a problem with it because we just had a beautiful conversation, right? We had a beautiful conversation before. If I came here right now and I said the same exact thing to you that I did last time, I don't feel like it's a real conversation. I feel like it's a chant, somebody who's babbling.
Good.
I think that the exact prayer was God explaining to us these are the things you need to hit. You should talk about, but it should be in your own words. It should be between you and God.
Good.
I see my Father as like my actual Father that's on earth. Is like we have a relationship. He's seen me more than my actual Father on earth. So I want to be instead of me being give me today my bread, right? It's just I want to talk to him about my Father. finances. Like, hey, I'm stressed out about this. Give me the faith to know that what I have here is good enough and I don't need anymore. I need to be in depth. I don't just ask God, hey, come into my work. Because if God was right here, he would just look at me and be like, okay, what part of your work? So I want to be elaborate. I want to be very, very detailed. Sometimes when I'm praying, I'll pray for an hour. Sometimes I'm praying, it'll take me 30 seconds. But it's a real thing that I'm talking between God. What are your thoughts about people that believe that they should just say that specific prayer over their meals, over their bedtime, when they wake up? They just kind of say the same thing. My mom, she goes, I say the prayer and then I talk to him. And I go,
good.
Why? Okay, so you're saying good, but in my mind, I'm like, that's like weird. That's like if I came to you and I know this sounds disrespectful, but I'm being serious. If I had a ritual where I had to rub my elbows and my ears, I just feel like that'd be annoying. Like the guy's like, dude, I have somebody in Africa right now I'm talking to. Like, get to the point. Like, what do you need from me? Like, what are we talking about here? Stop rubbing your elbows.
Good. Okay, it's the issue of ritual. Yes. Ritual can be mindless, empty, and meaningless.
Yeah, because you get into practice.
It's just done by rote. You just do it, right?
Yeah.
But every night raising him up, I would put him to bed with a Bible story, a prayer, a memory verse, and we'd sing Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus. That was a ritual. We did it every day. Ritual can be good when we are reminding ourselves of the basic fundamental truths about God and Christ. It can also be important when you pray before meals as a way to grow your faith, to remind yourself of what is significant. So ritual can be bad, empty, meaningless, mindless, or it can be very good in that you are teaching the next generation, and you're also growing your own faith, reminding yourself of the fundamentals. So when I say the Our Father who is in heaven, I'm beginning to think, Father. Jesus is the only one who talked to God as Father. Means he loves us. He protects us. Who is in heaven? He's in another dimension. He's a lot bigger than I am. Hallowed be your name. Awe. If I lose my awe of God, I'm sunk. My fear of cancer, heart failure, whatever, had better not be bigger than my fear, my awe of God. See, it's as I grow in awe of God that my anxiety, my fears begin to settle down. And when I lose my awe of God, my fears and anxiety escalate. Hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Here's the whole issue of will. I've got to submit my will to Christ. Otherwise, you know what's happening? And it hit me really hard. If I lose my awe of God and my desire to do his will, the God I believe in always says, good boy, Cliff. Keep going. Do exactly what you do. God and I never have a disagreement. So you know who the God is that I worship? An idealized version of myself. Of course God and I are going to have disagreements. He's God and I'm Cliff. And we both have wills. And I better learn to submit my will to him because he's wiser than I am. He really loves me. He's really good. I am not. And therefore I better take my will and surrender it to him. So I begin to break that Lord's Prayer down and I say, okay, Father, hallowed be your name. What does that mean? And then all of a sudden it takes on new meaning for me.
Do you have the Bible on you? Or like, do you remember, have you memorized the prayer?
Yes.
Because we are coming to our ending, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I would love to read the prayer line by line, but pause and explain what the meaning is, because there's many little Georgies out there that are just rambling, trying to please God when they really don't know what they're saying. And I'm a terrible reader. You can't do that. Right.
Bro, if you break this down, it's more powerful if you read it. If you break this down,
you would just keep asking, we're like, whoa, dude, I ain't trying to mess this one up, dude.
All right, let's go.
But focus on the ACTS. You didn't mention the ACTS. Adoration, confession, thanksgiving, supplication. If you remember that, that's exactly how you break down the Lord's Prayer, and that's how you pray. Because your audience who you're trying to teach how to pray, prayer can be the hardest thing in the world or the easiest thing in the world. I think it's both, at least for me. And I think if they catch Our Father, okay, adoration, and then if you go down, give us today our daily bread, that's supplication. So it goes A, adoration, confession, C, T, thanksgiving, and C, and S, supplication. So ACTS, and if you watch it like that makes prayer easy. Otherwise, for me, it gets so tricky.
You're one of those dudes in the class where they're like, well, you got to do is you got to write it out here. Like, shut up, bro. What are you talking about? I don't know three of those words you just said, I had no idea what they even mean, dude.
You know adoration.
Adoration?
Adoring God. Okay. Hallowed be your name. So that's hallowing God.
Got it.
C is confessing.
I know confessing. I confess a lot.
T is thanking God.
Know how to thank.
And then S is the supplication one, which is
supplements to me is like protein. I'm being serious. What is that?
Asking God.
Asking. Like supplication.
Okay, I got you.
That's always what the machismo male says, I don't do for myself in prayer.
Why?
Exactly.
That's dumb. That's ego.
Pray for yourself.
Yeah.
Quit pretending to be humble.
My sister, she goes, the one thing I learned from George is to take what somebody gives. Because I'm very successful. I'm a very successful man. I've made some good money. My dad's like, here's some $20. I always take it. And my mom's like, are you not ashamed? My sister's like, are you not ashamed? I go, he offers, I take it. But like, I'm not going to. Listen, I have no pride. You're giving it, I'm taking it, man. It would be rude of me not to take it. All right, and actually, I love that we're ending it with a prayer. So thank you so much, Cliff.
You bet.
Yeah.
All right. Our Father, not a Scrooge, not a cosmic ogre. Our Father, who loves us, protects us, has our best interests in mind. That's how good he is. He knows what's best for us. In heaven, not a material being who sits right here. God. Not God in a box. No, he's in heaven. Another dimension. A lot bigger. Really big. Hallowed be your name. Awe of God. Hallowed means awe. Awestruck.
Breakdown. What is awe? Like shocked or blown away by his glory?
Blown away by his glory.
Got it.
Profound respect.
So you're asking to be in awe?
You're expressing it. Hallowed
Yes.
be your name. You're expressing you are awesome. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's the whole issue of your will, not my will. Your will be done. Give us today our daily bread. What does that mean? That means not what that little boy prayed over dinner. God, we earned the money for this. We deserve this. So why are we thanking you? Well, who do you think causes the rain to fall and the soil to sprout the crop? Even the truck driver. Thank you that the truck driver brought that food to my market and I just had to drive down to Acme and buy the thing off the shelf. Give us today our daily bread because we're trusting you. Now here comes real hard. Forgive us our debts, our sins, our trespasses, as we have also forgiven our debtors, those who've sinned against us. Read Matthew 18, the parable of the unmerciful servant. A guy forgives a servant for $1 million debt. That servant throws a guy into prison for a few bucks. And what we read is that he was not patient the way the king had been patient with him. And the king was outraged that he threw a man into prison for a few dollars debt after he had forgiven $1 million. Okay, if I don't forgive somebody, it means I am totally blind to how much God has forgiven me. Totally blind.
Spoiled and
Yes.
and you are not considerate of what you've given, what
Bingo.
you've gotten.
Perfect. All right. Lead us not into temptation. 3 things about temptation. How do you deal with it? First of all, you don't believe the devil's lie. Adam and Eve believed the devil's lie. Secondly, you run away from it. Joseph, Genesis 39, ran away from Potiphar's wife who was trying to seduce him. And thirdly, you use scripture, the way Jesus did in his temptation. Don't test the Lord your God. Man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. Worship the Lord your God and serve him only. So lead us not into temptation because it's seductive and I can bite. And I'm a guy who has bitten far too many times when I've been tempted. But deliver us from the evil one. Yes, he is real. He's the devil, and he's not a little dude in a red jumpsuit. He's a very suave, debonair, sophisticated guy who will deceive. Watch out for him. Help me, Lord God, not to buy his lies.
I love you guys. Thank you so much.